The Car Museum is located off Highway 16 near the airport turnoff and is a very popular attraction for visitors. It takes about 30 minutes to get there by car from the city. The museum contains a collection of over 300 cars, both old and new, from classic cars to cars of the future. For opening times and admission prices, press 1. The Car Museum is open every day of the week from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is $12 for adults and $8 for children.
2.
The Science and Technology Museum contains a large variety of educational exhibits and is full of interesting and entertaining learning experiences for both children and adults. It also contains a large collection of old airplanes. It is open daily except Mondays from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Admission prices are $7 for children and $10 for adults. For information about its location, press 2. The museum is easy to find. It's at the corner of Main Street and First Avenue.
3.
Underwater World is one of the largest aquariums in the world. At Underwater World, you can watch sharks, dolphins, huge sea turtles, and thousands of beautiful and unusual fish from around the world. Watch the daily feeding of the fish at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Underwater World is located on the harbor front at Pier 17 and is open 7 days a week from 9:30 to 4:30. For information about prices, press 3. Tickets to Underwater World cost $15 for adults and $10 for children.
4.
The Golden Lion Movie Studio is a place where you can take a tour of old and new movie sets, see behind-the-scenes movie making, and then stop to get lunch, do some shopping, or watch a new movie. The Golden Lion Studio is located only 20 kilometres from the city centre on Highway 25 and is open every day except Tuesday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Admission is $10 for adults and $5 for children. For information about movies currently showing, press 4. Movies currently showing in the Cineplex Theatre are The Amazing Mr. Jones, a comedy, Tiger Valley, an action movie, and Moonface, a romance.
Now, before we start our tour of the main temple, I'd like to tell you a little about it. In this area, there are many old temples. They were built by the people who lived here nearly 1,000 years ago. They were part of the ancient Khmer civilization. The biggest of these temples is called Angkor Wat.
How many temples are here?
I believe there are more than 100. Many of them have not been restored and are still hidden in the jungle. There used to be a big city here, and it was an important destination for people from all over Southeast Asia. Then the city was abandoned, and all that remains today are the temples because they were made of stone. The other buildings that were here, the palaces, the public buildings, and so on, were made of wood, so they have not survived. Do you know when the main temple was built?
I think it was in the 12th century. Is that right?
Yes, it was built during the early 12th century. And do you know the religion of the temple?
It must be Buddhist.
Well, many of the temples here are Buddhist, but the temple of Angkor Wat was built to honor Hinduism. At the time the temple was built, there was a lot of influence from India in this region, and that is why the temple honors Hinduism.
What happened to the people who built the temple? Why was it abandoned?
Well, invaders came here from what is now called Thailand in 1431, and the city was abandoned in 1432. After that, it was just left to nature. The jungle took over, and it was completely overgrown for hundreds of years. Then about 100 years ago, the French started to restore it. What you see today is the result of a long process of restoration that is still going on. Today, Angkor Wat is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Southeast Asia. As you can see, tourists are already starting to arrive, so we'd better start our tour before the temple gets too crowded.
Do you know when the main temple was built?
I think it was in the 12th century.
How many temples are here?
I believe there are more than 100. Do you know the religion of the temple?
It must be Buddhist.
Is the Sears Tower in Chicago the tallest building in the world?
I think it was when it was first built, but it might not be anymore.
2.
Do you know when the Sydney Opera House was built?
I believe it was in the 1960s or 1970s.
3.
When was the Eiffel Tower in Paris built?
It was started in 1887 and completed in 1889.
4.
How tall is the Statue of Liberty?
I read that it's 46 meters tall. 5. When did the Golden Gate Bridge open in San Francisco?
That was in 1937.
6.
Do you know how tall the Great Pyramid in Giza is?
I guess it must be about 100 meters tall.
This is the Peak Tram. This tramway up to the top of Victoria Peak was built in 1888. Make sure you remain seated in the tram as it goes up to the top, because it is a very steep ride. It's almost vertical in places. As we go up, you will see some wonderful views of the city, the harbor, and across to Kowloon. It takes about 15 minutes to get to the top. At the top, you can take a walk right around the top of Victoria Peak. I'd really recommend it.
2.
Now here we are at the Star Ferry. This is the cheapest way to cross Hong Kong Harbor. Now you all know, I'm sure, that Hong Kong consists of two main parts. Kowloon is the part that is connected to mainland China. The other part is Hong Kong Island. The Star Ferry crosses back and forth from the Kowloon side to the Hong Kong side every few minutes. It only takes a few minutes to cross, and on the way across, you will see beautiful views of the city. All aboard, please.
3. Now we are arriving at Ocean Park. This is one of the most popular amusement parks in Hong Kong. There is plenty to do and see here. If you like roller coasters, you must try the Dragon Roller Coaster. There are other rides as well. There's also a big aquarium that has sharks and a great dolphin show. It's well worth seeing. I also suggest you visit the cultural village so you can see what life was like in old China.
4.
Now we're going to take time off for shopping at Stanley Market. This is a collection of tiny shops on lanes next to Stanley Beach. Most of the shops sell goods from China. It's a great place to buy clothes and handicrafts. And I suggest you bargain here, because there are no fixed prices. After you finish shopping, you can walk along the beach and find somewhere to eat. There are some excellent restaurants here overlooking the beach.
What did you do yesterday, Bob?
I went to the Cultural Center.
What did you think of it?
Well, it's a fascinating building to look at. But inside, the displays are not very interesting, and it's hard to find your way around. They really need to improve it and to organize things better. So frankly, I wouldn't recommend it.